Hi there, I'm Chris Sumner. I lead the Hearing SIG at the UK Acoustics Network. So I want to point out a few basic facts about hearing. Hearing loss affects 1 in 6 adults. This is increasing prevalence with age, so very few young people, but actually the majority of people by the time they reach 70. Despite it being associated with an inability to hear sounds, the disability associated with hearing loss is an inability to communicate in noisy environments where hearing stuff isn't the problem, it's understanding that's the problem. And recently it's been found that hearing loss is the single biggest modifiable risk factor for dementia, which has really put hearing on the map. So you're probably aware that the UK Acoustics Network has been going through a priority setting process, and hearing has been part of this. No surprise that the development of new hearing devices and improvements for treating your hearing loss come top of the list of priorities. Now, I might summarise this as saying that modern current devices can restore audibility really well, but they still only partially restore speech intelligibility. So how could we restore normal function? Well, I guess we don't really know. However, there's lots to be done. For example, optimizing and maximizing existing technologies, developing better solutions, which might include electronics, signal processing, algorithms, perhaps hearing aid fitting, and also, developing sort of more novel solutions. So a recent development that's likely to feature in the future is brain interfaces. So for example, EEG being able to decode the brain and tell what people are paying attention to. And of course, with that information, we can then use context-sensitive artificial intelligence algorithms to maybe remove or attenuate background noise and boost the sound that people want to hear. This, of course, will improve intelligibility, and it may even help conserve power. Of course, it's worth mentioning that really we're looking forward to those really novel next generation solutions, for example, next generation cochlear implants, which might be driven by light rather than by electricity, and pharmacological and genetic solutions, which might enable us to protect against hearing loss or even perhaps reverse it. However, the reason we can't really fix hearing currently is arguably because we don't understand enough about the ear and the brain. We don't understand enough about the normal functioning system or what goes wrong. A few highlights in terms of challenges in this area would be the links between age, hearing loss, dementia, mental health, and tinnitus. We know very little about how these things interact. In terms of sort of the basic underlying neuroscience of hearing, there's an awful lot to be learned about brain plasticity, perhaps how we adjust to hearing loss or how things change with age in there. Top-down processing, so how we use our attention to affect the processing that goes on in our brain. And really, we can probably summarize it by simply saying that there's a lot we don't understand about how we solve the cocktail party problem. If we understood that, how we do it when we've got good ears, we might be able to understand better how to fix people as they suffer from hearing loss with age and perhaps other degenerative disorders of the brain. And of course, very important part of understanding the ear and the brain is to understand the underlying genetics, and there's all sorts of pharmacological technologies and things that are emerging there. So just finally, I want to turn to considering hearing in context. We don't live in a vacuum, we live in the real world, and we make an awful lot of the sounds and things, they are auditory environment that we live within. So really an important thing for us to think about is how we can create a safer and more enjoyable world for us and for our ears. Another important aspect of the technologies that are emerging is, of course, that they're not going to just be for people with hearing impairments. They're not just going to be prostheses for correcting hearing. They're going to be fantastic technologies which can be used in all sorts of ways to improve everyone's lives and potentially modify our environment if we're unable to modify it out there in the real world. So really what we should be looking at, I think, would be an exciting future where we integrate hearing research and what we know about hearing and what goes wrong with our ears as we age and our brain as we age with other acoustics domains. So trying to think of this as a sort of holistic ways of making the world of sound better for all of us.